So our friend Ken Coleman, he's got a new book, From Paycheck to Purpose, and I think you guys are very aligned in what you're trying to do to help people find these red threads. And I love this quote from Ken. I think you'll agree with it. The American education system is programming us to be test takers, not question askers. We are producing job seekers, not pathfinders. So let's talk about the education system. It's clearly, we can't change that overnight. That's something that's not in our control as individuals. So whose job is it to help these workers and this next generation especially find the red threads? Is it the educators? Is it the parents? Is it on the individuals themselves? Whose job is it?
Yeah, well, Ken is completely aligned with the frustration with the education system that I share. We should be comforted by the fact that those 15 CHROs from last week are equally frustrated. In a sense, the customer of all colleges is the workplace. And the workplace is basically turning back to the colleges and saying, I don't know what you're producing here, but you're not producing students with self-mastery. You're not producing people that can come in a hybrid, flexible work environment where you need a lot more self-initiative. You can't continue to produce graduates who don't know themselves, who can't explain themselves to themselves, let alone to the people they're just joining on a brand new team, who they might not actually physically come into contact with. So there's frustration all around. And I think, frankly, to some extent, companies like UPS or Home Depot or Williams-Sonoma or Lululemon will probably be more powerful in changing our education systems than perhaps even the federal government, because they'll be the ones going, I think you need to be graduating people that have got some of this self-mastery and self-understanding. Having said that, we can, as parents, we can start this earlier than we think. Like, you start to ask a kid at 11, when was the last time a day flew by? Or when was the last time an hour flew by? And even if they say video games, okay, which part about that video game? Which video games? What about it? Is it that you're playing with people, or is it you're playing against people? You can start being curious really early about what kind of things, activities, moments, situations your particular kid loses themselves in. Like, that kid knows the answer to the question, when was the last time a day flew by, better than anyone else does. Now, we don't teach that. We teach that kid geometry. We teach that kid Spanish, but we don't actually teach the kid how to use the raw material of their own day to start to identify responsibly their own red threads. We don't do that. Could we as parents start to do that? Absolutely. It's one of the reasons I wrote the book, is to say to parents, you don't need to wrap your kid in tinfoil to protect them from the world, because when you look at your kid, all you see is yourself reflected back. Instead, we should be helping a kid all the way through their teenage years start to be more articulate and more, to use your word, more intentional about using a day, a regular day, to start picking out on the difference between, well, this activity is a white thread or a gray thread or a black thread or a brown, but this is a red thread of yours. Okay, write that. That's why one of the things in the book we do is say, learn how to write a love note, which is I love it when. And then finish the sentence. I love it when what? Like, what are you doing? And we've done that with kids as young as 11. Wow. So frankly, George, one of the things I'm going to be doing for the next 10 years is I think we can, as parents, we can start to build curriculum that help kids all the way through their teenage years become more fluent in their own love language and how they can then weave those loves into learning, studying, or contribution at work. There's a lot we can do.
Yeah, such a simple question, simple exercise, but so powerful. And in your book, you talk about this in the chapter Love in Learning. You say the education system is built to pressure us, to separate us from ourselves. And I think that's what you're getting at with that quote, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, education in this country is not only not interested in the uniqueness of a child. The education system in this country is frustrated by the existence of uniqueness in the child. Now, it's couched in lovely words like growth mindset, the idea that your child is basically an empty vessel, and we can fill your child with whatever information we want to fill it with, so long as you have a growth mindset, because that kid can be whoever that kid wants to be. Of course, we know biologically that's not true. Every single unique child, every single unique person has more synaptic connections in their brain than there are stars in 5,000 Milky Ways. And as you grow, you don't rewire your brain into somebody else's network. You actually grow more synapses in those areas where you have the most pre-existing. So your network, as you grow and learn, actually becomes a more defined version of your network, not someone else's. That doesn't mean a kid can't learn. It means that each one of us derive love and satisfaction and joy from super different things, really different things. And our education system, unfortunately, has no language about that at all. It's almost like all the brain scientists have not spoken a word to all the teachers. Now, so we know a lot in terms of how the brain grows, but nothing in our education system seems interested in it. So education really is just information. I completely agree with Ken. Teaching is just information transfer and confirmation through testing. And the testing is designed to see which student is the fullest. And the best student is the one that's the fullest with the best GPA. And then, of course, we start to impose on the kid a whole load of standardized scores, which deep down don't concern the kid at all. They're just really actually scores that enable a college to brand itself as having a certain level of GPA for its incoming freshmen, or a certain level of GPA for its graduates, which it can then report to the US News and World Report college rankings, which help the school differentiate its brand and get funding, which is all fine for the school, I guess, because brand's important. But of course, the challenge is the college is using our children as the mechanism for their funding and branding. Okay, that's wrong. I mean, it's morally wrong. But as the chief human resources officers were saying, it's also pragmatically wrong because you end up graduating students who really have no idea how to talk about the unique network in their brain and what kind of behaviors, strengths, loves, passions it leads to. They're clueless. And I don't mean that to be cynical, but measurably, we are graduating students who are super inarticulate in describing their uniqueness and then what it might lead to in terms of roles on a team, jobs, or careers.